And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand in honor of His Eminence Archbishop Demetrius of America and Exarch of the Ecumenical Patriarch, and the 2012 Athenagoras Human Rights Award recipient, Mr. Andreas Drakopoulos, Director and Co-President of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, escorted by the National Commander of the Order of St. Andrew, Anthony Limbarakis. And please remain standing for the national anthems sung by Aphrodite Daniel, followed by the invocation of His Eminence. Ms. Daniel.
Σε γνωρίζω από την κόψη του σπαθιού την τρομερή. Σε γνωρίζω από την όψη που με διαμετράει τη γη. Απ' τα κόκαλα βγαλμένη των Ελλήνων τα ιερά και σαν πρώτα αντριωμένη χαίρε ο χαίρε ελευθεριά και σαν πρώτα αντριωμένη χαίρε ο χαίρε ελευθεριά και σαν πρώτα αντριωμένη χαίρε ο χαίρε ελευθεριά. Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please remain standing for the invocation by His Eminence Archbishop Demetrius, assisted by Father Anastasios Guneras.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord Jesus Christ, this evening we gather to honor and celebrate Greek Orthodox Christians who have contributed prodigious quantities of their time, talent, and treasure to the furtherance of Greek Orthodoxy in America and in support of the prerogatives of our beloved Ecumenical Patriarchate. They understand and practice, Lord, your words, as recorded by the evangelist Matthew, where you say, "Whoever wants to become great amongst you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave." Archons serve by lavishing their precious time, applying their valuable talents, and dedicating their hard-earned fortunes to the building up of your holy church, Lord. We thank you for sending us these servants who put you and your kingdom first. Through the sacrificial giving of their time, talents, and wealth, archons and all dedicated clergy and lay leaders of our church offer an eloquent confession of faith, a paradigm of stewardship, and a call to evangelism. Bless also their families and loved ones, and prosper them as they work in your vineyard. These are also values typified by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, which is being honored this evening for typifying these very same values. Provide that this foundation and its leader, Andreas Drakopoulos, may continue to do good works and enrich many lives. Lord, we especially ask that you send your blessings upon our Father and Archbishop Dimitrios, who has toiled in the vineyard which you have planted on this earth for 45 years, close to a third of them as indefatigable shepherd of our church in America. As we prepare to celebrate his name day, we pray that you grant him health and length of days, so that he may continue to enlighten and inspire us in our Christian walk. Likewise, strengthen and support all of the hierarchs of our Holy Synod, along with all hierarchs and clergy of our archdiocese and its workers, philoptochos and parish council members, those who teach, those who sing, those who bring your love to the old, to the young, the hungry, the imprisoned, the lonely, the orphaned, the sick, and the bereaved. Finally, Master, in this season where the American people are presented with their sacred responsibility of selecting their leaders, we ask that you bestow upon all citizens of this land a spirit of love, respect, compassion, and civility. Help us to recall the words of St. Paul in his letter to the Galatians, where he says, "For you, brethren, have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself." Δόξα Πατρί και Υιό και Αγίου Πνεύματι, και νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Δέσποτα Άγιε ευλόγησον.
Χριστέ ο Θεός, ευλόγησον την βρόσιν και την πόσιν των δούλων σου, ότι Άγιος η πάντοτε νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Christ our God, bless the food and the drink of your servants, for you are holy now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Welcome, Kalispera, and enjoy this beautiful evening.
John Halecki now comes up. Where's John Halecki? John, don't you introduce me? No one introduced him. No, when you get them introduced him, you got everybody introduce him. John Halecki, welcome everybody now. You should also make
Your Eminence Archbishop Demetrius of America, Co-President and Director Andreas Drakopoulos, esteemed hierarchs, distinguished members of the diplomatic community and dais guests, respected clergy, noble Archons, ladies and gentlemen, glory to Jesus Christ. It is my privilege this evening, on behalf of the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, to welcome you to this 2012 Athenagoras Human Rights Award banquet. This evening we honor the Stavros Niarchos Foundation through the person of Co-President and Director Andreas Drakopoulos. The foundation is one of the world's leading international philanthropic and humanitarian organizations, which you will become familiar with during the presentations later this evening. During the course of the evening, you will also share with you the programs initiated by the Order of St. Andrew here and around the world to fulfill this mission to defend the great Church of Christ. We will also acknowledge 18 Orthodox Christians who tomorrow will be invested as Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome and enjoy the evening.
Kalispera σας. Good evening. Your Eminence, Demetrios, Archbishop of America, Your Eminences, the Metropolitans, who are members of the Holy Synod, Your Graces, the Bishops, Reverend Priests and Deacons, most honorable and distinguished Archons, esteemed members of the Archdiocese Council, eminent presidents and members of the Greek Orthodox communities, Mr. Ambassador, Congresswoman Maloney, and also the Honorable Tuba Turgut, who is Vice Consul of Turkey. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual Archon Dinner Banquet. It's wonderful to see you all. I'm Gus Bilirakis, and I'm so honored to serve as your Master of Ceremony this evening. What an honor and privilege. Tonight is a celebration of our divine Orthodox faith and recognition of those who have helped perpetuate it. The presentation of the Athenagoras Human Rights Award is a highlight, of course, of tonight's event. We know that the recipient has consistently exemplified by action, purpose, and dedication, concern for the basic rights and religious freedom of all people. Ladies and gentlemen, especially in today's day and age, we know that we cannot do enough to promote religious freedom throughout the world. As Archons, it is incumbent upon us to carry out the legacy of the award's namesake, the late Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople, Athenagoras, who has been recognized globally as a champion of religious freedom of all faiths. You know, I've never had the blessing, unfortunately, of meeting His All Holiness Athenagoras, but my grandmother used to tell me so many wonderful stories about him. Just like His All Holiness Bartholomew and our very own Archbishop Demetrios, Ecumenical Patriarch Athenagoras was a man filled with humility and compassion for all of God's children. That is why we, Archons, not only work to defend and promote the Orthodox Christian faith and protect the Ecumenical Patriarchate and its mission, but we are all also concerned with the God-given human rights wherever and whenever they are violated. And as many of you know, perpetuating religious freedom for all religious minorities and Orthodox Christians in particular has been an integral part of my work in the United States Congress. I'm privileged to serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee and co-chair the Hellenic Caucus along with Congresswoman Maloney, who does such a wonderful job. She founded the caucus with my father many years ago. As well, I've also worked with the International Religious Freedom Caucus, all of which afford me a platform from which I can confront the oppressors of faith. Ladies and gentlemen, our Christian faith, in my opinion, is under attack. In Turkey, the Christian population has dwindled from 2 million at the end of World War I to less than a few thousand today. Brave souls who are willing to stand up for the faith in the face of persecution. A decade ago, ladies and gentlemen, in Iraq, there were 800,000 Christians. Today, there are less than 150,000. In Iran, prior to the Islamic Revolution, Christians were more or less free to practice their religion. Today, they are executed. In Syria, 4 decades ago, Christians made up nearly half the population. Today, 4% of Syrians are Christians, and they're being forced to flee as a result of the civil war. In Jordan, half a century ago, 18% of the population was Christian. Today, 2% of Jordanians are Christian. And of course, we all know the horrible massacre that takes place against Coptic Christians in Egypt. Christians who are literally being crucified, hamartia. All these, ladies and gentlemen, are facts. Christians are dying or being displaced as we speak. Our Orthodox leaders have made great efforts to reach across the divide. We know that the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew and Archbishop, our Archbishop Demetrios, have a record of reaching out and working for peace and reconciliation among all faiths, and have fostered dialogue amongst Christians, Jews, and Muslims. And we know that it's incumbent upon us to protect our fellow faithful. So that's why it's so important that we are gathered here this evening, to reignite the flame in all of us, to ensure that our faith and our Holy See, the oldest church in the world, is protected. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody has done more, in my opinion, than our national commander, Dr. Limberakis. Thank you so very much for being here this evening. God bless you. Και καλή όρεξη. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Ambassador Panagopoulos to the United States, ladies and gentlemen. I know, of course, Mr. Ambassador, you're not a stranger to America, but I look forward to working with you, of course, in Washington, D.C., and welcoming you, and also I know that I just spoke to Carolyn Maloney, so we need to get together and work on these issues for our Lada and for our wonderful Thriskia. Among several distinguished positions within Greece's foreign ministry, Ambassador Panagopoulos' extensive diplomatic background took him to several important posts, including Serbia, Cyprus, Turkey, and as well as the United States. The ambassador comes to us during a critical time in Greece's history, and he knows that the U.S. and Greece relations are the best they have ever been, and we want to make them even better. As co-chair of the Hellenic Caucus, along with Carolyn Maloney, I look forward to working with you, Mr. Ambassador, to again further the relationship between Greece and the United States, and of course, Cyprus. Greece, in the ambassador's own words, Greece is implementing drastic measures that no other modern country has taken in such a short period of time, and is also making great strides in an ambitious privatization plan and doing a great job to attract foreign investment. I'm also thrilled that Greece, according to the ambassador, is enhancing cooperation with Israel to the benefit of stability in the Eastern Mediterranean. Mr. Ambassador, again, I look forward to working with you so that we can inspire our Ελλάδα not only to survive the current economic crisis, but also thrive as it always has throughout history. Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador, the Greek ambassador to the United States, Mr. Christos Panagopoulos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ Κώστα για τα καλά σου λόγια, and I'd like to thank you so very much, you personally and Congresswoman Maloney, who is honoring us with her presence tonight. Your Eminence, honored members of Congress, dear Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, dear friends, it is indeed with great joy and a deep feeling of appreciation that I join you all tonight for this tribute from the order of St. Andrew the Apostle, the Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate. Every year, the ceremony for the Athenagoras Human Rights Award offers us a unique opportunity to come together and honor those who have been doing important work in the fields of human rights and religious freedom. This evening is all about recognizing and celebrating the many successes and very important achievements of a major Greek champion in these fields, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. I'm truly honored to have been invited to participate in this auspicious event, and I'm pleased to have this opportunity to share with you a few thoughts on the ideals and values the Stavros Niarchos Foundation stands for. I have always had the highest regard for the mission and works of the Foundation. For so many years, since 1996 more precisely, they have been actively pursuing well-organized and highly sophisticated efforts to make a substantive and lasting impact on the lives of their beneficiaries. Not only in Greece, but all over the globe. Throughout these years, the Foundation has alleviated suffering and provided support to those in need in inspiring and innovative ways. Tonight, in the presence of Mr. Andreas Drakopoulos, the Director and Co-President of the Foundation, and so many other prominent members of our community, I would like to reflect for just a few moments, if I may, on the ideal that has been at the very core of the Foundation's mission and activities, the ideal of philanthropy. Aristotle said, to give away money is an easy matter, and in any man's power, but to decide to whom to give it, and how much, and when, and for what purpose, and how is neither in every man's power nor an easy matter at all. In other words, the idea of charitable giving is a complex and challenging one. It is the idea that one should not only care deeply for the less fortunate, not only go to great lengths to help them, but to take action in a sustainable and long-lasting fashion, to take action that empowers individuals and organizations to create productive, secure, and stable lives for themselves and their communities. This is exactly what the Stavros Niarchos Foundation is all about, I think. This is exactly what they have been doing with great success all these years. Among the great number of very important projects that they have supported so far, I will mention just two here tonight, which are closely related to our motherland and are highly relevant given the critical challenges Greece is currently facing, as Mr. Valirakis just said a minute ago. The first I'd like to mention is the Foundation's commitment a few months back to grant no less than $130 million over the next 3 years to support the work of various non-profit organizations around the country. This unprecedented offering will go far in alleviating some of the suffering of the most vulnerable segments of the Greek population who are reeling from the consequences of the financial crisis. So far, almost half of those funds have already been committed, and the Foundation's efforts continue successfully. The second, and most certainly the jewel in the crown of the Foundation's work in Greece, is, without any doubt, the decision to finance the creation of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center in Athens, in an area well known to us, Delta Faliru, near the seafront of the Greek capital. This major gift to the people of Athens and Greece is worth an estimated $800 million. And will not only develop but also completely and utterly reinvent the area that is going to occupy. The Delta Faliru area, I should remind everyone present here tonight, has been of major significance for Athens since ancient times. It sits almost halfway on the age-old route linking Athens to its major port, Piraeus. To give you an idea of its importance, I will just mention that even after Themistocles and later Pericles formed the port of Piraeus, Faliru was still considered to be the second biggest port of Athens in antiquity. Today, after having been severely neglected, unfortunately, underutilized and eventually disused, this particular area is suffering from loss of identity, including the destruction of its natural beauty, charm, and connection to the sea. This project, which incidentally is one of the most important urban development projects in Europe today, will restore the whole area to its former glory for the benefit of both Greeks and foreign visitors, which are welcome to enjoy. Designed by the famous architect Renzo Piano, one of the most famous living architects in the world. The center will incorporate an expansive green space of 42 acres, as well as new space for both the National Library of Greece and the Greek National Opera. The project is expected to be completed by 2015, and Mr. Drakopoulos just committed himself a minute ago. He's going to deliver that, and will be built by a joint venture that includes a Greek construction company. This is not a coincidence. It is an integral part of the Foundation's concerted efforts to create jobs, to generate income, and in general to offer Athens and Greece tangible benefits from the creation of this center, which will be perpetual, not ephemeral. It is only fitting then that the Stavros Niarchos Foundation is receiving tonight the prestigious Athenagoras Human Rights Award. Their philosophy, their vision, but also their firm commitment and dedication to Greece at such difficult and challenging times are not only noteworthy and highly commendable, but also a living and breathing example of the greatness Greek philanthropists are able of. The founder of the foundation, the late Stavros Niarchos, who is today rightfully considered as one of the most important and successful entrepreneurs of his time, has become an integral part of a long and lasting tradition of famous Greek benefactors. Successful and inspiring individuals, that is who, after thriving domestically and internationally, making Greece a byword for global business success in the process, decided finally to give back by allocating considerable parts of their wealth to do invaluable philanthropic work. Stavros Niarchos undoubtedly helped shape the way the international community views contemporary Greece. We all owe him a great deal for that. Mr. Drakopoulos, as Ambassador of Greece to the United States, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you personally, as well as your fellow board members and all of the good people who work to make the Foundation's grand vision a reality on a daily basis. Thank you for doing something. Thank you for taking action. You are an inspiration to us all. And let me also take this opportunity to challenge all of us to embrace the inspiration the Foundation offers us, to look to ourselves and to ask ourselves a very simple question: what can I do? Let's each of us find a way, however large or small, doesn't matter, to play a part in easing the hardships of others today and to aid them in setting a course for a better tomorrow. Before closing, I would like to extend my most heartfelt feelings of appreciation and deep respect to Your Eminence, Archbishop Demetrios, as our spiritual leader, and to the Archons, Dr. Anthony Liberakis in particular, to our beloved Father Alex Karloutsos for hosting this wonderful evening. Your leadership, your inspirational work, and your strong interest in promoting loftier values and ideals and rewarding great achievements are worthy of the highest praise and recognition. I'm profoundly grateful and proud to be with you here tonight. I thank you all also for making this evening a great success, and I look forward to many more occasions to celebrate the best our country and our people have to offer. Personal and collective contributions to the betterment of humankind, no matter how big or small, should always be celebrated. As Aristotle also said, such excellence is rare, praiseworthy, and noble. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Thank you. Wonderful. Very good. Mr. Ambassador, you're going to do a great job representing Greece. I just want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that our Alada is having great difficulty, as you know, but we've overcome so much. Greece has always risen to the occasion. 400 years rule, Ottoman, we kept our customs, our traditions, more importantly, our thriskia and our glossa. We can do this. Look what happened with Ochi Day, incredible. We'll be celebrating Ochi Day pretty soon. In World War II, what the Greeks did. So again, I have great confidence that Greece will persevere and overcome this. And now I'd like to get to what can I say about Dr. Limberakis? He's not only my good friend, but a mentor and also a cubaro. I've never met a more dedicated layperson to the cause of orthodoxy. Dr. Limberakis has been an Archon since 1987 and our national commander since 1998. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. And he tends to his family, his wonderful wife, Maria, Dr. Limberakis, and she also does wonderful things for our church. And again, his children, his grandchildren, of course, he has a thriving radiology practice. He still manages to be one of the most effective spokespersons Orthodox Christians have in defense of our faith and our ecumenical patriarchate. The Lord is a light unto him, unto his path, and Anthony glorifies God every day. We are so blessed, of course, to have him. Please, can we give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our commander, Dr. Anthony Limberakis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Isn't it great to have Congressman Gus with us? Congressman, Archon, churchman, esteemed member, an important member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee calling for religious freedom, not only in Turkey but around the world. Look where Christians are being persecuted. Thank you, Congressman, for bringing that to our attention. We read about it, and it's comforting to know that one of our Archons, our brother Archons, is doing something about it in the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Your Eminence, Archbishop Demetrius of America and Exarch of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, Most Reverend Metropolitans, Hierarchs, Clergy, and Presbyteres of our Church, our respected honoree, Mr. Andreas Drakopoulos, and the Niarchos Foundation, Ambassador Christos Panagopoulos, welcome, sir, to the United States. Congressman Maloney, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests of the dais, Brother Archons, Archons-elect, all 18 of you, we look forward to working with you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our tremendous tribute to the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and Mr. Andreas Drakopoulos, allow me to offer the gratitude of the order to a number of individuals who have made not only this evening's banquet possible, but the many Archon religious freedom initiatives throughout the year, both here in the United States and throughout Europe. And I refer to you with a segment in the program entitled Words of Gratitude, and they really are words of gratitude from our hearts, our collective hearts. Firstly, Nicholas J. Boris. What can we say about this incomparable Archon? This is the 14th year our Vice Commander has underwritten the Athenagoras Human Rights Award banquet, and we express to our beloved Archon Deputatos Nicholas J. Boris our deep, deep appreciation. And to the Niarchos Foundation and Mr. Drakopoulos, who also became underwriters this year, sir, we extend our profound gratitude. To this evening's chair, Archon Theodore Demosthenes Dimitriou, assisted by Archons Dean Paul, Alex Pritsos, Konstantin Velios, John Halecki, and James Fountas, we offer our deep gratitude. And Father Alex, please stand up so we can all thank you for the work you do day and night. Father, you have to stand up, and we recognize what you do in Presbyteric Xanthi. And Xanthi is assisted by Christopuru and Elpida, and we're very grateful. from the bottom of our collective hearts. Now, the religious freedom mission of the Order of St. Andrew is singularly focused on the well-being and defense of the Mother Church of Constantinople. The very word archon in the original ancient Greek, means leader. And the Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, under the guidance of Archbishop Demetrius and the Metropolitans of our Holy Synod, have been leaders in the fight for religious freedom for the Mother Church. And I must say, we are finally beginning to see some positive changes in Turkey. But we are not there yet. Halki was shut down forcibly 41 years ago, and its doors are still closed. We continue to call for religious freedom in what I call the Archon arena. The Archon arena includes Washington, D.C., the White House, the Congress, and State Department. It includes each of the 50 states. 42 of the 50 have passed religious freedom resolutions. Think about that. In 42 states, representing 90% of the American populace, state legislators have passed religious freedom resolutions for the Ecumenical Patriarchate. The Archon arena includes the European Union and the European Court of Human Rights. It includes the OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. The Archons will continue to raise relentlessly the call for religious freedom in Ankara, Turkey, and soon in Berlin, Germany, where I am very excited to announce the second Archon International Religious Freedom Conference, the theme of which is Tearing Down Walls. Berlin, Germany, Tearing Down Walls. Reserve your calendars the first week of December of next year. First week of December 2013, Berlin. We invite all of you to attend. This conference will be a watershed event because conferences such as these raise the awareness in the global arena that religious freedom does not fully exist, and it does not exist in Turkey. And conferences such as these will help find the path to ameliorate the religious freedom deficits that occur. So, clergy and laity, archons and friends and relatives, we need to roll up our sleeves and support this conference in a serious way with time, talent, and treasure. We need to raise $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. The first conference was $500,000. This one in Berlin will at least be that amount. Yes, as His All Holiness commences the third decade of his worldwide ministry, the Archon multifaceted domestic and international religious freedom strategy will continue with even greater zeal, energy, and strength, with the hope that the bells of freedom will ring sooner than later at the Fanar. The Archons make this promise that we will not stop one iota, not 1 millimeter, on the road to secure religious freedom for the Mother Church until our goals are accomplished and His All Holiness can minister to His worldwide flock unfettered from the chains of oppressive and reprehensible government policies. You know, the Order is so very proud and honored to present the 2012 Athenagoras Human Rights Award through the Exarch, His Eminence the Archbishop, to the Niarchos Foundation and Mr. Andreas Dracopoulos. its dynamic co-president and director. The unprecedented and dramatic $130 million Niarchos Foundation grant to aid the suffering citizens of the Hellenic Republic is a bold statement that the foundation will not ignore homelessness, the hunger and poverty that many of our Hellenic brothers and sisters are experiencing during the socioeconomic crisis that has befallen our Patrida. The many Niarchos Foundation initiatives, such as this $130 million grant, not only serve philanthropic concerns and ameliorate a distressed human condition, but also serve to guarantee the most basic of all human rights, the right to human dignity, the right to exist without suffering and without hunger. It is the Niarchos Foundation and co-president Drakopoulos and their initiatives that are preserving orthodoxy and Hellenism, having made over 2,000 grants in 90 nations around the world. They stand tall and brazen in their efforts to improve the human condition for everyone to emulate. As President Theodore Roosevelt, over 100 years ago, stated in a speech that I must say is most apropos in describing the ethos of the Niarchos Foundation and Mr. Drakopoulos himself, and I quote from T.R. Roosevelt, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, and yes, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But this is the man who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who spends himself in a worthy cause. This is Andreas Drakopoulos. This is the Niarchos Foundation, the doer of deeds, the man in the arena, the man who strives valiantly to do the deeds. This foundation, this institution of philanthropy, which is in the middle of the global arena, richly deserves our emulation, our admiration, and our profound gratitude. Indeed, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and its co-president and director are most worthy to receive the 2012 Athenagoras Human Rights Award, and for which we proclaim Axios, Axios, Axios. We now look forward to a video which will summarize the good works of the Niarchos Foundation, after which we will then present, through His Eminence, the Athenagoras Human Rights Award.
Stavros Niarchos is considered one of the most innovative and successful businessmen of the 20th century. Early in his career, he directed his focus to the complexities of the shipping industry, and over time, built one of the world's largest privately owned commercial fleets. At the forefront of international commerce, he pioneered innovative business strategies that he adhered to throughout his life. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation is the legacy he wished to bestow upon future generations everywhere.
Those who knew Stavros Niarchos admired him for his business acumen, hard work, and financial success. But he also had an innate understanding and appreciation of the potential of every individual. So his wish for a foundation that went beyond the sum of his personal achievements is not surprising. The foundation's activities, just as his financial dealings, had to be diversified and far-reaching. In 1996, the year of his passing, the foundation started its philanthropic work and began fulfilling this vision. We hope, in viewing this video, you will gain an appreciation and understanding of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and its mission.
The Stavros Niarchos Foundation is recognized today as one of the world's leading philanthropic organizations. Honoring Stavros Niarchos' heritage, interests, and ideas, the foundation contributes half of its annual funding to charitable projects in Greece and the other half to countries around the globe. Long in the planning stage is the development of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center in Athens. This state-of-the-art educational and recreational public complex was designed by world-renowned architect Renzo Piano. It will include the 42-acre Stavros Niarchos Park, the National Library of Greece, and for the first time, a high-tech opera house for the Greek National Opera. When completed in 2015, the foundation will donate the center to the Greek state. Presently, the foundation, keenly aware of Greece's mounting social needs, has approved a series of substantial grants to help ease the adverse effects of the economic crisis, including food aid, support for families in danger of becoming homeless, healthcare and educational programs for children, such as the support of the pediatric intensive care units throughout Greece. From New York to London to Kenya to Japan, grants are awarded in 4 major areas: arts and culture, education, health and medicine, and social welfare. Grants in the category of arts and culture are awarded to organizations and programs doing meaningful work in the education, preservation, and development of the arts, especially to those that provide access to the underprivileged and to people with special needs. Cultural institutions such as the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, the Louvre Museum in Paris, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, neighborhood libraries, local theater programs, concert halls help the foundation further its pursuit of accomplishing these goals. Education is increasingly becoming a pressing social issue worldwide, from funding scholarships for low-income students to endowing Hellenic studies programs to providing elementary education to children with learning disabilities. The foundation is committed to presenting sustainable educational opportunities to an underserved population. Whether granting funds for medical research in thalassemia or hospice care for late-stage cancer patients, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation sponsors initiatives and institutions that have the potential to benefit a large number of people and supply quality health services. Grants address needs ranging from hospital support to training fellowships to medical research. The Foundation's social welfare grants have increasingly focused on helping communities and individuals, especially women and children, overcome homelessness, immigration, poverty, maternal mortality, human trafficking. One critical issue that plagues both developed and developing countries is hunger. From food banks in New York to farms in Africa, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation has consistently funded organizations that work daily to supply food to the impoverished. The foundation has also awarded extraordinary grants in response to extraordinary circumstances as a result of war, economic crisis, or natural disaster. Since its inception, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation has made more than 2,000 grants, totaling over $1.3 billion in more than 100 countries.
The word philanthropy has come to mean giving for the good of mankind, but its classical Greek derivation is the love of mankind. One must take both meanings into account in order to grasp the true spirit of the Stavros Niarchos legacy. Thank you.
We now invite Mr. Andreas Dracopoulos, President and Director of the Niarchos Foundation, to receive the 2012 Athenagoras Human Rights Award. Axios, Axios, Axios.
Bring your hands, with your hands to
Your Eminence, Archbishop Demetrios of America, National Commander Dr. Anthony Liberakis, Honorable Congressmen Gas Bilirakis and Caroline Maloney, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Greece, Christos Panagopoulos, Honorable Consul General of Greece, Mr. Iliopoulos, Honorable Consul General of Cyprus, Koulas Ofianou, Your Eminences and Honorable Dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, Kalispera. On behalf of all of us at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, we're truly honored to be presented with the prestigious Athenagoras Human Rights Awards, and we wish to sincerely thank the Order of St. Andrew and the Archons of America for this honor. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in his State of the Union address on January 6, 1941, stressed the importance of the four freedoms in helping ensure a better life for all people everywhere in the world. His four freedoms included the freedom of speech and expression, the freedom of religion and worship, the freedom from want, and the freedom from fear. Four essential freedoms that still today, although at times taken for granted by many, are essential and imperative to fight for, if indeed we want to ensure a better life for all of us, all around the world, and for our children. In 1948, a United Nations committee led by Eleanor Roosevelt, drafted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which included and broadened the ideas of FDR's four freedoms. This week, the FDR Four Freedoms Park was inaugurated at the southern tip of New York's Roosevelt Island, not far from where we are gathered here this evening. As a global society in this 21st century, we still need to be reminded of the importance of such freedoms. Freedoms enjoyed by many, yet again, freedoms that need to be secured for many more. Anders Asland, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute of International Economics in Washington, D.C., in a recently published article, mentions the need of a social welfare society instead of a social welfare state. There's no doubt that in today's complicated and often too polarizing world that we live in, we need all the help that we can get. But in the last decades around the world, even before the challenges became so interrelated and increasingly too complex to solve, both the state and the private sector have been unable for various reasons to provide on their own the necessary and appropriate environment for our societies not only to survive, but also to thrive and excel. John F. Kennedy, almost half a century ago, inspired us all with his memorable, "It's not what your country can do for you, it is what you can do for your country." In many instances, the problem today is that we don't even ask the question, but instead are eager to criticize, patronize, and find excuses why it simply doesn't work. The need for a social welfare society is there, a fair, dynamic, and viable society where all members from all sectors, including public, private, not-for-profits, supranational organizations, and humanitarian institutions, have to contribute towards creating a healthy society able to defend itself against today's many and complex challenges, able to provide for its citizens the basic needs of life, to provide for decency, dignity, civility, and last but not least, to provide an opportunity to dream and to help make dreams become reality, and to hope for a better tomorrow. All positive forces have to collaborate towards this end. One of the most constructive ways to be in need of help is through philanthropy. Philanthropy can be expressed in many ways, financial support being an effective one, but not the only one. Volunteerism is another one. And here I would like to mention one individual who is with us this evening, Mrs. Ellie Antoniadi, who for decades and in so many different ways has always volunteered her time and efforts to help the needy and to promote Hellenism at large. She reminds me of Aristotle's saying, "I've seen also on the cover of a pamphlet at the Greek Cathedral School, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all." And Ellie has a very large and educated indeed heart. So thank you, Ellie. Philanthropy is one of the few issues nowadays that should not, and thankfully does not, polarize people. Foundations, the institutionalized form of philanthropy, get the moral satisfaction of having played, hopefully, a productive role in complementing the state's role in providing for a better society for all. Philanthropy should never and cannot anyway replace the state. But philanthropy does not simply just happen by itself. It is not a divine force of good. It needs time and financial resources. It needs a certain commitment, and in a larger scale, is not unlike running any other successful for-profit enterprise. Instead of looking at the profit and loss statement at the end of the year, foundations get the moral satisfaction of having played a hopefully productive role in complementing the state's role in providing for a better society for all. The multiplier effect of collaborations can be dramatic, both practically speaking and indeed psychologically too. We at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation are going through our teenager years, now 16 years young. We were born in 1996, and we're kind of hyperactive with a lot of projects going on. We're continuing with our global grant-making activities, where our non-Greek grants make about 50% of our overall grant-making if we exclude the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center. We initiated at the beginning of this year our special Greek social program. This is our latest initiative to help alleviate the negative socioeconomic pressures that Greek people are facing today, providing €100 million, of which over 40 million have already been committed. Last but not least, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, where we are on budget and on time for it to be delivered to the Greek society at the end of 2015. This is our largest ever single grant, a project that can inspire everyone's dream for a new Greece. We are not here to brag about our grant making. We know we are lucky that our founder created the wealth and gave us this opportunity. We have to be able to contribute to society in a meaningful way. We welcome any kind of collaborations, ideas, anything that at the end of the day can multiply and amplify everyone's contribution to society. There's nothing to be antagonistic about. There's no crowding out effect in the area of philanthropy. It is all about the aggregate support foundations and act of philanthropy as a whole, including, among other things, volunteerism, can put together in order to improve everyone's efforts to alleviate social pain and to improve in any possible way the quality of life for all people. Finding prospective grantees is not difficult, especially during such crises. Yes, to efficiently implement a grant can be sometimes rather demanding, but when there's a will, there's a way. Our starting point is really easy. Does the proposed grant add value to society? In this specific environment, does it alleviate pain, provide relief, and restores dignity? Are the people involved ethical, professional, committed, and able to implement the project's mission? Greece needs you, it needs us, needs all of us. This is not the time to criticize or patronize. This is a time to help in any way possible. We can all learn from one another and at times adapt to the new realities. We need to sustain the basic pillars of society and democracy at large to ensure that we will have a basic structure, which to eventually restructure. We cannot let everyone get degraded and then expect everything to automatically improve. In time of crisis like the one Greece is having now, where basic needs are so clearly missing, philanthropy's role is really challenging, yet quite clear.
Philanthropy's role is truly fulfilling by making it possible to alleviate critical and vital socioeconomic pressures. I would like to thank our founder, the late Stavros Niarchos, for giving us this opportunity at our foundation to be able to play a constructive role in trying to solve today's problems and contribute for a better tomorrow. Equally, I'm honored and privileged to work with my great colleagues at our foundation in our offices at both sides of the Atlantic, some of whom are with us this evening. Working with them towards achieving our mission makes it a very fulfilling experience indeed. A modern Greek philosopher, Emmanuel Kriaras, born in 1906 and still alive today at 106 years old, once said that true love can only be achieved by being able to constantly seek your ideals. So in closing, I urge all of you to seek your ideals, do your best to help the needy, and in doing so, stay in love. Thank you.
We now invite our spiritual father and exarch of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, His Eminence Archbishop Demetrius of America.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Your Eminence, Metropolitan Methodius of Boston, Your Eminence, Metropolitan Alexios of Atlanta, Your Eminence, Archbishop Justinian of the Patriarchate of Moscow, Your Graces, Bishop Philotheos of Meloa, Bishop Demetrios of Xantho, Bishop Sebastian, Bishop Mikhail, Reverend Fathers, Father Alex, Honorable Honoree of tonight, Mr. Andreas Strakopoulos, Dr. Liberakis, Commander of the Order of St. Andrew, Professor Trakatellis, former Vice President of the European Parliament, Madam Consul General of Cyprus, Mr. Ambassador, welcome of Greece to Washington. I'm not following the hierarchical order, but the placement at the table. Madam President of the Philoptochos, Mr. Supreme President of AHEPA, Madam Representative Mrs. Maloney, nicknamed Bubulina, Mr. Consul General of Greece in New York, Mr. President of Faith Endowment, Executive Director of Leadership 100, and people omitted by my list, but very honored, and of course, Mr. Bilirakis, the wonderful Master of Ceremonies tonight. You see the difference between a professional journalist or a TV person as a Master of Ceremonies and a fiery politician. Just puts the podium into fire, and that's a good thing. And thank you, distinguished guests, members of the Board of Trustees of the Archons, members of the Archons, and friends and beloved brothers and sisters. This is really an evening of celebration, and tonight we don't need the music of Elgar for pomp and circumstance, because we have the music of philanthropy for honor and achievement in humanitarian excellence. This is the music tonight. We leave the pomp and circumstance for happy graduations, not for tonight. Tonight we thank the people who contributed. We are enjoying a wonderful evening. I would like to thank the very beginning, the person who started the evening with the chanting of the two national anthems, the person who played the piano during our eating, combining quite a number of known and unknown melodies. We thank the waiters and waitresses who serve us tonight. And thanks to all other people, sometimes we take for granted. The people who took care of the flowers on the tables, and the lights, and all things that are contributing to a memorable evening. This is an award, and we have here a nice, small, miniature kind of a statue of Patriarch Athenagoras of blessed memory. And we have to remember that Patriarch Athenagoras was born in Vasiliko Ioanninon, a small village in Epirus of Greece. And when he was born, Epirus was under Ottoman Empire, under the Turkish occupation, because it was part of the northern Greece, which has not been liberated yet at that time. He served in, if you remember or no, you know, he served in a place called Monasterion, southern part of Serbia, a very strong place with strong population at that time, but then things changed there, in Corfu, as an archbishop in America and as patriarch. As a patriarch, he did something extremely daring. He proceeded in a close dialogue and relationship with the Roman Catholic Church. Pope at that time was Pope Paul VI, and together they did something that happens in Jerusalem, the lifting of the anathemas. The anathemas was that when in the year 1054, things happened that brought the East and West into an abrupt and full gap and disconnection, that was followed by an anathema, which was a document placed on the holy altar, somehow excommunicating the Church of Byzantium, and then Constantinople excommunicated the Pope. So it was a mutual act of, how would it, making the separation absolutely official. 1,000 years after that, this Patriarch Athenagoras with Pope Paul, they have the courage in Jerusalem to lift the anathemas. It's a tremendous step. You might have differences. I remember some journalists when Pope Benedict visited Constantinople after the first year in his office, the present Pope. There were plenty of journalists and they asked us, now what is the next step? Do you think that something will happen? I told them, look gentlemen, the fact that the Pope came here, it was a great thing, but to be together again in essence and have the union of the churches is a long way. It's not something politically done easily. It needs work and work and work. If we have been separated for 1,000 of years, it's not easy to do that in one day, or in 1 month, or in 1 year. It takes time. But Patriarch Athenagoras was daring enough to proceed and then to establish an ongoing dialogue as a way of mutual understanding, mutual knowledge and possibility to proceed and work together at least to a number of issues that deal with social issues, cultural issues, before we go to what Patriarch Athenagoras was dreaming of, speaking of the common cup, the day when we could have common communion for both churches. So up to that point, that would really mark what should be done in terms of union and unity. You have many other things, and Patriarch Athenagoras was insightful and daring enough to try to have a steady, methodical, and honest dialogue. So it is in the name of this Patriarch that this award, Mr. Drakopoulos, is given. He was a big, big visionary, because what he thought about unity was not simply something religious. It was something that has to do with the people being able to be together, the people not to be separated, especially if they believe in the same God. So it's a great moment tonight that we have this kind of celebration, and that we have you, Mr. Drakopoulos, representing beautifully and worthily the Niarchos Foundation to be the recipient of this award. We would like to ask you to convey to the two sons of the late Stavros Niarchos our thanks. They are members, co-presidents with you in the foundation, and we would be delighted to have them tonight, but you are always doing things, and we have you in New York, so we could feel that we are very much and especially connected with you, but we would like to ask you to convey to these two sons of the late Stavros Niarchos and the other members of the board our thanks for what you are doing. I'm very thankful we are very thankful to what you presented and to the brochure that we have and to the video that we have seen, because it gave us a picture with numbers. We're thankful the Ambassador Panagopoulos for offering so many things about the real offering, and especially the gratefulness of the Greek nation to the foundation of what you have been doing, not only with this beautiful Center for Opera and Opera Theatre and the National Library at a cost of approximately $800 to $900 million, but also for the specific assistance immediately at the crisis of the Greek situation, to offer immediately $100 million and put them into function so that there would be a relief for so many people. We are very thankful also for what you are doing here in the United States. You have been giving continuously to schools, to institutions, to universities for creating chairs or centers for the study and promotion of Greek language. You heard the number, more than 2,000 individual grants in 16 years, corresponding to $1.3 billion. Quite a significant part of it has been given here in so many things that it's very difficult. I thought for a moment of constructing a list, but then I said no, because that's very difficult. I might omit things, and I don't want to be wrong with statistical numbers. But you should know that there is a big number of things that happen here. And we are very thankful. One of the things that I mentioned at another occasion these days is that, and which is very touching, is what you did at Notre Dame University. At Notre Dame University, which is a big university in America, they have a strong department for patristic studies, the study of the fathers of the church. And they had many things, but they have two specific chairs for the study of the fathers of the church. They thought that we have to do more. And we have to do more, offering more elements of Byzantine Orthodox theology. And they told me, we wanted that to be Orthodox Byzantine theology in Greek language texts, which was a part of patristic literature, not normally studied, because it covers from the 8th century to the fall of Constantinople in 1453. They said there is a wealth of patristic material there in Greek language, and we would like to have two chairs, one for theology of this period and the other for history. The Niarchos Foundation was offering the endowment, considerable part for the endowment for the Byzantine theology. We are very thankful. That's an unusual act of offering really promotion to what is Orthodox and what at the same time is genuinely Greek. I am sure that you could very easily find something, but just taken from the Google source. You have something. And I like to read a definition. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation is an international philanthropic organization making grants in the areas of arts and culture, education, health and medicine, and social welfare. While prominent in its support of Greek-related initiatives, the Foundation's activities are worldwide in scope. It has provided a total grant commitment of approximately 1.2 billion through more than 900 grants to non-profit organizations in 90 nations around the world. Mr. Dracopoulos, these Google people have a very nice definition here. You can use it, you don't need volumes and things of explaining, just tell them, look at Google. It's not only that, if you go there, you have to spend hours for all other things that they can tell. But a short definition is always useful. Let me just, at this point, mention what is so specific. This is not simply a philanthropic endeavor. I mean, we heard here, arts, philanthropy, and social works. But what is some more specific here? First of all is the magnitude of the offering. Number two, this is a foundation that is not doing fundraising. They only give grants. I don't know of any. We have some smart foundations here in the States that always have a way to get also fundraising. Not this foundation. They only give, not usual. I would say not normal for some very normal thinking people who would like to take in order to give. No, they give. Number two, they are very methodical, and some people ask me sometimes, well, we would like to approach Mr. Dracopoulos and ask. I said, if you approach Mr. Dracopoulos and ask, you might get what you ask. But are you prepared with a very specific, meticulously constructed plan, ready to account for the last penny of what you receive, and be also to account in a way that is satisfactory for what you received. Oh, they say, of course. You don't get an amount, do whatever you want with that. You have to be, these people here apply in their way what St. John Chrysostom said. When he was talking about alms giving, and normally you use your hand, but it's a symbolic act. He said, «Η δροσάτω η δεξιά σου, πλην αν γνως τίνει δώσ». Your right hand has to be perspiring before you know to whom and what you give. They don't have perspiring hands, these people have perspiring brains. Because they work like slaves to make sure that what they give will be given properly and it will be used properly. And sometimes, I must tell you, if you have seen Mr. Drakopoulos in some sort of a concern, indignation even, it has to do with this methodical aspect that is not foreign. Number three, this is an activity highly differentiated. It's not one type of thing. Let's say we help schools, or we help hospitals, or we help now provision for food to people who are in need of food. It's a very diversified kind of thing. And this covering from language to philanthropy in the strict sense, to theology, to culture. You have helping a poor neighborhood and building an opera. I mean, this is really differentiation. This is something that shows the ecumenicity in the real sense, the all-embracing philanthropy in the Orthodox and Hellenic tradition. It's not a limited, it's not a narrow, it's a very open and a very beautifully diversified. So now we are here and we are rewarding in the person of Mr. Drakopoulos, the Niarchos Foundation. We pray that the memory of Stavros Niarchos be eternal, because memory of these people and legacy of these people should be eternal, because they left an example of brilliance. But I would like also to close with a short text from the New Testament, from St. Paul's second epistle to the Corinthians. I read it first in the original. Τούτο δε, that's now the end of the story. Τούτο δε, ο σπύρον φιδωμένος, φιδωμένος και θερήσει, και ο σπύρον επευλογίες, επευλογίες και θερήσει. Έκαστος καθώς προείρεται την καρδία. Μη εκλείπεις, ουδέ εξ ανάγκης, ηλαρών γαρδότην αγαπά ο Θεός. Δυνατή δε ο Θεός πάσαν χάριν περισσεύσει εις μας, ή να εν παντί πάντοτε πάσαν αυτάρκειαν έχοντες περισσεύσετε εις παν έργων αγαθών, καθώς γέγραπτε, εσκόρπισεν, έδωκε της πένησιν, η δικαιοσύνη αυτού μένει εις τον αιώνα. It's a beautiful text. Translated into English with deficiencies. It's never an accurate and complete translation. The point is this: he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. each one must do as he has made up his mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that you may always have enough of everything and may provide in abundance for every good work. As it is written, he, the person described here, he abroad, he gives to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. The righteousness endures forever for people who do that. The righteousness endures forever for the Archons who work for our patriarchate the way they do. The righteousness endures forever for enterprises in the best sense of the word that do what they do in the philanthropic field, and the righteous endures forever for everyone who gives cheerfully in abundance and sows not sparingly but abundantly. Thank you again for giving us the opportunity to honor something that is worth following and imitation, Mr. Drakopoulos, and we hope and pray that other people as well will follow the example of the late Stavros Niarchos in establishing foundations that will do something that you do so far, so good, so beautifully. May God be always with you. Thank you.
What a memorable evening it has been. Fellow Archons, take a bow. What wonderful work you do. Your hard work, it's true. Your hard work and dedicated service and philanthropy have kept the light of our beautiful Orthodox faith shining bright. As we leave for home tonight, let us carry deep inside us the fervor to fight for religious freedom for our Ecumenical Patriarchate, our Thriskia, and all religious minorities throughout the world. Now I'd like to call on Archbishop Demetrios to give us the benediction, and also Father Mark will assist as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Εις το όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος. Αμήν. We give thanks to you, O Christ our God, that you have filled us with your earthly and heavenly blessings. Continue to shower abundant grace upon our most holy Ecumenical Patriarchate and the sacred person of His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew. Strengthen our Holy Archdiocese, our Archbishop Demetrius and Holy Synod, the clergy and laity in the Order of St. Andrew for service through the Church to all humanity. With special gratefulness of heart, we implore your blessings for the Niarchos Foundation. May it ever spread its philanthropy as wings of compassion over the whole human family. Δόξα Πατρί και Υιού και Αγίου Πνεύματι και νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Κύριε Λέησον, Κύριε Λέησον, Κύριε Λέησον, Δέσποτα Άγιε ευλόγησον.
Christ our God, bless the remnants of the food on the tables and multiply them into the houses and families of the beloved people present here. Give many, many creative and beautiful years to our Ecumenical Patriarch. Bless all the wonderful people that work so diligently and with such a zeal in the Archons organization of our church here. Bless the people who work like the Niarchos Foundation people in providing comfort and help to so many people. Bless the people that suffer today because of economic difficulties, and help all of us be always the workers of the good in the best and major possible way, so that with whatever we say and do and act, your name will be glorified, and all the people will know the peace, the justice, the love, and the joy that come abundantly from you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and forever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Have a good night. And for the people who took a recording of tonight, we would like to send it to our Ecumenical Patriarch to enjoy a really wonderful evening here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful as usual. Wonderful as usual.
Kalinita sas. God bless you. Good night. Nice to see you.
I will.
Let me come out.
Έχω ευλογία να πάρουν τους περισσότερους.